What's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again for another Rethink Solutions. This one might be a little off the deep end, but it's better to be prepared than to be wishing you did. So, in the off chance a zombie apocalypse is knocking at your door, screaming for your brain,
I like turtles.
here's the solution. Now, what kind of provoked us to even take up a topic like this? Well, according to the Washington Post, zombie viruses are thawing in melting permafrost because of climate change. Of course, they gotta throw that agenda in there, throwing out the fictional climate change, but we do have to admit permafrost is melting, and let's talk about it. The thawing of the permafrost due to climate change may expose a vast store of ancient viruses, according to a team of European researchers who say they have found 13 previously unknown pathogens that have been trapped in the previously frozen ground of Russia's vast Siberian region. The scientists found one virus they estimated had been stranded under a lake for more than 48,500 years ago. They said, highlighting a potential new danger from a warming planet, what they called zombie viruses. The same team of French, Russian, German researchers previously isolated ancient viruses from the permafrost and published their findings in 2015. The concentration of fresh viruses suggests that such pathogens are probably more common in the tundra than previously believed. They suggest that the preprint study they published last month on the BioRxiv website, a portal where scientists circulate their research before accepted in the scientific journal, quote, "Every time we look, we will find a new virus," said Jean-Michel Claverie, a co-author of the study and a professor of virology at Aix-Marseille Université in France. In a phone interview, he continues, "It's a done deal. We know that every time we're going to look for viruses, infectious viruses in the permafrost, we are going to find some." So I could continue down the article. The link's in the bio here. You can check it out. But they're not saying that they found a virus that's going to infect you to make you start having a delicious craving for brains. But it is saying that there's these underlying viruses that are zombie-like that we consider dead or don't even know to exist that are being unearthed through the melting of these tundras. Now, there's multiple facets here, but the avenue I want to start down is nobody thought the world could stop the way it did, like the pandemic. That was new for everybody. There was no grandparent that's like, well, in the 20s, I had something like that. No, this was new for everybody. And what that showed us is how real these situations can be and how fast it can happen. So fast to the point where you really don't have the opportunity to react. And that's why it comes to a place of preparation. So let's have fun with it at first. And let's talk about if there was a zombie apocalypse. So people are getting bit, that this virus is pulled out of the tundra and people are running around biting each other, and we're slowly infecting the populace into this mindless wave. Okay, what do? I think it's safe to say that you're going to really regret not befriending the crazy guy with the bunker full of machetes and guns. Step one.
Maybe in the apocalypse, there won't be conservatives and liberals. There'll just be people that survive.
Exactly. And dead liberals.
Right.
I think the noodles are done.
I think my answer to a situation like this, if you've watched The Walking Dead, if you've watched any zombie movie for the last 20 years, the obvious real answer is we need to build communities, because it automatically results in a lawless world. So now you need to start not just necessarily thinking about zombies that you have to fight off, but also a lawless world where people are going to become tribal, congregate, and create their own laws and rules and ways of civility to somehow police each other. So how do you do that? You have to build a community of people you trust. I don't suggest you going to the local square and saying, "Hey, I need teammates for when the zombie apocalypse hits," because you're not gonna have anybody in your circle at that point. So maybe the best way to approach this is just building a community of like-minded people, regardless. And then when the time hits, you're all conveniently prepared and you all share a common bond so you can work together. John, where do you take us? And we'll flush it out further, but where do you take us on a solution to the zombie apocalypse?
Well, I like the idea of the community situation. It reminds me of the movie Neighborhood Watch. And
Yes.
you can actually start from there, get a couple of buddies together, and every Friday you hang out and you walk around the neighborhood, or every night, and start something like that, and then educate yourselves on survival methods, right? Build your community of people that have skills that are needed. And it's funny how we're like taking seriously like a zombie apocalypse, but like, there's a freaking I think it's a bacteria or a virus. I don't know the name of it, but it can come through the digestive system of like an ant or something like that. And they're dead, the ant, but the virus is controlling the brain of that ant.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. And the virus wants to be eaten to go into another digestive system of something larger. And the ant goes all the way to the top branch. And it's like, there's videos of these ants that just have like, they look like zombies because they're just torn apart. They're just decayed. And there's like, their abdomen is just not there. And like, they're just dragging, and it's just really freaky because you see an ant, it kind of moves quickly and it looks around. This thing is just slow moving. I'm like straight out of a movie. But I like the idea of that neighborhood watch, that community, and it does seem like a lot of what the mainstream media wants, and a lot of the entertainment and a lot of our trends are moving towards is not trusting each other, not trusting your neighbors. We need to go completely against that. And then obviously learn a thing or two about viruses, learn a thing or two about bacteria, and how to strengthen your immune system. But I have other comments, but I'm curious to see where you're going with this.
Yeah, I want to get back to your comments, but I also want to double down on John's point where he kind of it is we wanted to have a fun segment for once as well, but there's a line of realism to this too. There's the bacteria that John had presented, but also I talk about it as much as I can on my podcast because I'm not a cat guy, team dog all day. But there's a thing called toxoplasmosis that like 70% of the country has. And it's a virus that is found in cats' urine. And this is why they say pregnant women should not be around cats. Pregnant women should not be in homes with litter boxes. And it's because there are 70% of the country. That means there's a large portion of people that have never owned a cat that also have this simply because they've been in spaces that have litter boxes, cats, like, well, they're soft when they rub that tail across your nose, but they're also giving a little. And so what does toxoplasmosis does? It's been an evolutionary advantage for cats that it rewires the brains of rats and mice to make them sexually attracted to the scent of cat urine. Goes to show how these cat people get so freaking nuts. You got 100 cats. It's because you don't realize it, but you're sexually attracted to the smell of cats. And that's why people get really weird with, oh, I love you, Snuffy. I love you so much. It's because you don't really love the dog. It's not like, or the cat. It's not like how most people react to dogs. There's actually something more in your brain. You're getting extra endorphins because there is this zombie-like virus that is impacting your behavior and the way you think. So these things are very real. And if we're having new ones that are coming from 48,000 years ago dancing out of the permafrost, then who knows what's to come down the pipe? It goes to show that it's not very far of an evolutionary change from what's already in the world. Now, I told John before this, and I stopped myself so I could say it on here, but I am reluctant to always put on my tinfoil hat, but when diseases are coming from Antarctica, I can't help but always throw the big question mark up. There's fishy stuff going on in Antarctica. We should all be alarmed that these countries that cannot get along at all. Like there's no, everybody has their own personal agenda and interest as a nation. And you should be curious why in like the 70s, or I think it was the 80s, these countries, all of them were able to come together and sign a treaty that agreed. And this was after Eisenhower and all of them went and met the aliens in Antarctica. But that's another story for another day. But again, you have all these countries sign a treaty that says no people are allowed to explore Antarctica without government guidance. Like, you have to have a tour guide that is a government official. You're limited to only common areas. So you gotta, so what's going on over there? I mean, if it's a giant block of ice, what am I going to stumble on another glacier? And the polar bears need their privacy in this corner. No. There's definitely fishy stuff going on there. And when they hide it under the guise of something that's arguably fictional at this point, climate change, you had me fooled about 10 years ago when I was drinking the Kool-Aid in the academic system. But as the reality sets in, you come to realize, oh, this is just another political ploy you guys have created. So when you push it under the guise of climate change, it's in a place where it's all secretism and it's all government intervention, and they're just popping up. It's like, how do I know nobody's going to drink another bat soup in Antarctica? And here we are with a new zombie virus. So that's my psycho tinfoil hat rant, but I just got to leave it with that.
I wish I had like a tinfoil hat to just be like, all right, here we go. Boom. And so if you see the tinfoil hat, you know we're going there. And then we take it off and like, okay, let's make it more realistic and, you know, more facts behind it and all that, and less theory, you know. I'm on the same page with you, because it is very suspicious with just, if you, again, a lot of things are suspicious if you just pay attention. And unfortunately, a lot of us are very busy trying to survive. And the people that have the time find these things out. And then at the same time, if you don't have the time, and there's something that happened to you that made you want to look further into it. But yeah, zombies, man. It's a freaky thing. And what are your... There's like so many ways to go about this, but maybe we can go into some solutions.
Yes.
if there is any.
Well, and I don't like the only solution, because it seems even the last couple problems we've been presented with, it seems that my podcast, every solution comes down to education. But us, it seems like this show, a lot of our solutions are community and education, but mostly community. Besides building yourself a tribe that can take this on and have a strong force to kind of bring you security, what other solutions could possibly be available to us?
Well, there's something to be said about your health and handling it. And I want to look more into it.
Yes, because they say you don't need to be the fastest in the group. You just need to be faster than the slowest in the group. Well, following that train of thought, you got to do everything you can today to make sure you're not the slowest in the group. All right, sorry.
Yeah. Like slowest as in figuring stuff out and running, right?
Yeah,
running away from the zombies. We don't know if they're going to be runners or leg draggers, right?
Either way, you better move fast. Even a leg dragger, you got to, when you run up to the door and it's locked, you need that extra 10 seconds to bust the window out and reach through, like whatever the case may be. It's like the Michael Myers. Michael never had a run, because at some point he's just walking. I'm going to get there. And I think that begs to, more importantly than being able to run away, you need to be able to build security in terms of shelter. I mean, I heard Joe Rogan on one of his podcasts talk about how he has like some giant Doomsday tank Jeep that is just like totally reinforced. And it's like, okay, maybe if you've got an extra $100 million lying around and you're a Joe Rogan, that's something you could plan for. For the regular person, I don't see it's possible for you to turn your trailer into a bulletproof zombie machine. But there are things you could do to start keeping that train of thought. Like, all right, are my windows reinforced? Not to the point where it can take 100 people punching at it, but like maybe a couple intruders or something.
100 people punching at it. You gotta think about like, hey, so there's gonna be like 100 people trying to get in. All right, so there's gotta be.
I mean,
really
let's agree.
thick.
Let's agree. I don't want to have the cynical ever cynical approach on this show, but also we've all seen World War Z. And when you've got like 500,000 of these things piled up to
runners.
climb over a mountain or, I mean, a giant wall, you're doomed. You're doomed. At that point, it's circumstantial. At the point at which there's a giant wave of them, it really depends on where you were at the place and time this happened.
Also, stay away from the city.
Yeah.
Stay away. And I honestly, living in the suburbs, or just beyond that can solve a lot of issues. Is a great solution. You're independent.
I
You're
like
away
that
from
one.
a dense amount of people, and then the people that you meet up with are resourceful too. So that could be a huge thing. I would like to pull a solution out of fantasy land
Please.
and drag it into the present because
Go for headshots.
double tap, bam, bam.
Double tap.
Go for the legs so they can. You slow down to the crawl, right?
You need the crawler to give yourself some time to build the fort up again before the next wave comes.
Right. If you haven't been to the gym and you haven't hit that elliptical, go for legs. If you've been to the gym, start climbing stuff. That's a good solution. But no, the other thing is called I brought it up on my phone because someone just sent it to me like a day ago, which is coincidental. It's called the Rife machine. Now, this is getting very, this is an actual thing, and I'll just read it. Dr. Rife knew that, and it's in black and white. So this is an old machine. This is getting really freaky now. So Dr. Rife knew that everything vibrates at its own natural frequency. Okay. Everything has its own frequency ID. He believed that if he could discover the frequencies of disease-causing microorganisms, he could destroy them with the same vibrational frequency, kind of like glass. You match the vibrational frequency of glass and crystal glasses. They'll snap, they'll break. And then he in 1934 he used a machine to cure 16 terminally ill patients with various cancers. The first 14 recovered in 70 days. The remaining 2 recovered 3 weeks later. Incredibly, the patients only required 2 3-minute sessions per week to achieve total recovery. So that is an interesting device. And if you now, at least I want to put it out there in the interwebs and let your brain massage with that knowledge that that's something that was created in 1934 to help solve situations that we're still dealing with. And I bet you nobody has heard about it. So think about outside solutions, and it goes back to looking at the past so that we can solve for the future.
Wow. I love that perspective. I would like to hope that there will be future technologies that can benefit us when these situations arise. My fear is you'll never be able to kind of predict if and when these things occur, just like the pandemic. When these things hit, you didn't get to go to the store the day before and buy the 20 packs of toilet paper. So that's where the mad rush comes from. So dealing with kind of the realm we're in, it's best to try to find the hidden technologies such as that, because there's tons of them. But I do think your best bet is going to be, I mean, it's sad it turns into a classic Walking Dead episode, but it goes to show that they really exploited the most at their disposal. You need a chick with a sword. If you could get a guy that's good with a bow, it's good until he runs out of arrows. But man, get yourself a gun. Also, though,
recycle those
nobody's
arrows,
going to be
so.
well, you can if you can
Pull it out
find
of the
them.
eye socket.
You got to be able to find. You got to be able to find. Like, dude, you've got a head's size worth of area. You miss it.
Done.
Shit, I had 12, now I got 11, and it is what it is. You can make more. I think, you know what, I'm going to retract. I think you'll be better suited recreating new arrows from wood, shaving it down, creating it, than you will be able to mine gunpowder and pack bullets. At some point, those stores are going out, and now you've got a 20 gauge that shoots nothing. So, but it goes to show, my hunting friend whose dad packs and creates his own bullets. I mean, again, another person that you want in your tribe, but another person that's going to be better suited for these situations than yourself. Going to kind of something in the last episode where you got to start building yourself a homestead. And once you've got all your ducks in a row and you're making yourself less dependent on the state and their technologies and resources, the more you'll be apt to take on these types of problems. So, John, the wrapping thoughts, what do you got for us?
Do not get a medical marijuana ID because you cannot get a gun if you have a medical marijuana ID.
That's why Bob at the corner is still the move every time. He's cheaper too.
Bob. I remember I was like, okay, so I need to get a gun permit, blah, blah. And then, you take these courses and they're like, yeah, you can't have both. I'm like, ooh, interesting. So I had to put it in there. I was just waiting. I'm like, don't get it. Find other ways to, relax. There's meditation. There's, find that's another good solution. Find a way to find peace in times of drama, whether it be going out in nature, hiking, meditating. I mean, I don't know if you can go hiking in a zombie apocalypse, but find a quiet. I don't know if you're gonna find a quiet space, but find a way to meditate when there's loud noises.
Yeah, exactly. So, John, I appreciate you giving us your time as always. Guys, if we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best thing you can do to support this show is share that link. Send it on your Facebook, share it out to your friends, whatever you could do. If you've got people, if you liked it, that means there's people in your circle that will enjoy it too. So blast it out there. That's the best thing you can do to support us. Otherwise, you could catch all of our content at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. But, John, where can they find you?
Cool. My New Age Human podcast is just newaghuman.com. And then videos will be on Rumble, YouTube, and BitChute.
Don't forget to catch him at Jon Astacio on Instagram and all the other platforms. Alexander Grgat, you catch me at Grgat57 on all the other platforms. But guys, thanks again for giving us your time. We'll catch you on the next episode. See you next Thursday. Peace.
Peace.